Would you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Thank you. I would like a hand for the ROTC, please. Taking my orders. That's only a tiny amount of the things that they're going to do this evening. Wait until you see that was the honor guard, I'm told. But when you see the saber team, that's going to be the part that you're going to really enjoy. I can't believe it's already 25 years. For one thing, I'm not that old. But it is 25 years this year that the Learn Center was formed, and so we have a lot of reasons to celebrate this evening, not just our students' wonderful achievements, and you're going to hear some terrific achievements that they have made, but we're also going to be celebrating a really important milestone and birthday in the Learn program. And before we get started, I want to, first of all, thank all the parents for being here, because what you're doing by supporting your children and being here this evening is so important. And we want you to keep doing that because it makes a big difference. So can we have a big hand for the parents? Okay. And we have a lot of honored guests this evening. I'm going to try to not miss anybody, but I really want to try to stick to the program schedule because it's a very packed schedule, and I'm determined we're going to end by 9 o'clock so that we can get outside where there's going to be food and the mariachis will be playing. So first I would like to recognize our superintendent of schools, Dr. John Petticone. And that's he's from our TUSD side of our family, and from our Arizona Supreme Court side of our family, we have Mr. Dave Byers, who actually is the person who founded this program back in 1987. Yeah. And if you work for the county or the state, be nice to him because he's on the board of the Arizona State Retirement System. Or at least you used to be. You still are? Okay. If he's still doing that, I know our money's in good hands. We also have Judge Javier Chan Lopez from, now is this juvenile court or is it oh, you're in the criminal court? Okay. That's because we don't want any of you ever going there. That's why he's here. Okay. And I would like to recognize our principal, Mr. Rex Scott. Yes. awesome principal. And Miss Mary Morris is our curriculum support coordinator. I hope, close, okay. I think a lot of the other people are going to be coming up here and being part of this, but I do want to recognize Cheryl House from the Pima College Foundation, because they've been giving us scholarships since 1987, and they haven't missed a year since. And I'm going to recognize Mr. John Bermond, because he's the founder of our challenge, along with Mr. Steve Santa Cruz. Okay. And I want to say that every single one of you is really important to us, and you're all VIPs. And so if I miss somebody, nobody should feel offended, because we're really happy to have all of you here. And so without any further ado, I just want to do one thing. I want to find out, how many of you in the audience remember using these? Some people are raising their hands, but this is what we use. This is our technology in the Learn program in the first year. And now, more than the size of this, the information that was on here is in the little tiny flash drives that we're going to hand out tonight. So we've really made a big change. So I think at this point I'd like to invite Dr. Petticone to come up here and bring greetings on behalf of the Tucson Unified School District.
Thank you. I want to tell you there's a little box here that Marge was standing on that I'm moving out of the way, so we won't need it. But you know, when Ms. Gould says about an action-packed agenda, what she's really telling us is to move it along, and so I will do that. But I've got to tell you that I'm so proud of this program. Long before I came into this district, I knew about this program because I taught Marge Gould in her master's program at the University of Phoenix years and years ago. As a matter of fact, it was actually as this program was beginning, and it was really called something else at that time. And so I've watched it develop and grow into what it is today, and there's no question that Marge is the inspiration for that, and that if it wasn't for Marge Gould, this would not be here. And that is the truth. But as Marge said, the real VIPs in this room are all of you, the students who are being honored tonight for the accomplishments that you have made. And clearly every one of you, and I know this, has a story. And it's a journey that you've had to get to this point. Many of the journeys of the students in this room are not only remarkable, but they stand high above the journeys of many other students. While everybody works their own way to whatever achievements they have, I know some of the stories of the students that are in this room, and I applaud you, as do all the other members in this audience, for the effort that you've made and the accomplishments that you're going to be honored for tonight. So on behalf of Tucson Unified School District, with this hoarse voice of mine, and the governing board, I want to say thank you to all the people responsible for this, to Marge, and most importantly to the VIPs, you students. Thank you.
This is a book of thank you notes, thank you letters that the students wrote to Dr. Petticone, and Dave Byers got one. But we had an event in our classroom 3 weeks ago, and while they were driving to Tucson, you were driving to Phoenix for a different appointment. So anyway, we thank you for sort of supporting the program all this time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And before I ask Mr. Scott to come up, the ROTC came in before I got started, and so my first speech got kind of lost. And I don't want to go any further without introducing you to my colleague, Julie Casper, who is fabulous. Yeah, it's a real honor to work with Julie. And by the way, she's now a national board certified teacher. Yeah, which is a really big deal. Yeah. That's a very prestigious honor that not many people have. Mr. Scott, our wonderful principal, would you come say a few words?
I asked Marge how much time I had, and she said 3 minutes. So I've timed this, and It is on the money. Well, there's many reasons why I'm so very proud to be the principal at Catalina, but chief among them is the fact that we make purposeful efforts to treat every student entrusted to us as a unique and precious individual. We know that what works with one child won't always work with the next, and that it is essential that every student is helped to find their niche at our school and thrive within it. For the last 25 years, the Learn Center has exemplified those values and set a lofty standard for the rest of us. Long before rigor, relevance, and relationships became bywords in our profession, students who enrolled in Learn Center courses knew that they would be taught by caring and dedicated professionals. They knew they would be presented with challenging, substantive work. They knew that they would be urged to develop skills, habits, and behaviors that would serve them well beyond their high school years. The proof of the wisdom inherent in the Learn Center philosophy is evident by the fact that schools and teachers around our nation have embraced the practices that have served as its underpinnings for a quarter century. Hundreds of student lives have been powerfully impacted during that time. It is impossible to overstate what a wonderful gift a Learn Center education is, and it is also daunting to reflect on what might have become of some of these students if the Learn Center had never come to be. This remarkable legacy is what we celebrate tonight. It is a tremendous honor to work alongside educators of the caliber and character of Marge Gould and Julie Casper. I am deeply grateful to them for their service to Catalina and our students. I am also humbled and proud to join with all of you to recognize the achievements of the latest group of students who have taken on the challenge of being a Learn Center student. Thank you for being here tonight. Did I do okay? 3 minutes? All right.
A-okay, better than okay. And now it's time to hear from our Arizona Supreme Court part of the program, and that's Dave Byers, who literally started this program.
I guess I don't need that little box, Marge. Thank you. Greetings from Chief Justice Rebecca Birch, all the members of the Supreme Court and our staff. For 25 years, we've shared a tremendous partnership between the courts and Catalina High School, and it's just been marvelous. And of course, it's this force of nature over here, Marge, that is simply unbelievable. You know, someday she's going to retire, and I think we should start a movement to send her to Congress. And maybe for once we'd get something done in Washington, right? You know, I was privileged to be the one to bring the then called PALS Labs to Arizona. And it came about, it's almost serendipity. My wife, who's here, 35-year teacher, Linda, wave your hand, and I were foster parents. And we had a young man, 9 or 10 years old, who couldn't read. And we saw him struggle as he tried to make his way through life. Combined with that, the fact that the courts in Arizona run juvenile and adult probation. So we had thousands of kids and adults on probation who we also knew could not read or do well in school. And when we discovered this technology called PALS, now Learn, we thought it was an opportunity to bring people and technology together to help students achieve great things. And Catalina was one of the first 2 or 3, I think it was the first one actually to operate in Arizona. But we've set up PALS labs throughout the state. Now they operate in all our detention centers. And the success over the last 25 years from the Catalina program is nothing short of a miracle. It's just phenomenal. So tonight, I mean, I can't believe it's 25 years. We've had wonderful stories, and tonight you're going to celebrate some more wonderful stories and the accomplishments of the students out here, and I look forward to hearing all the stories tonight. Thank you for inviting me and being here tonight. And
speaking of wonderful stories, you're going to get to to see one pretty quickly. I'm making sure, because we changed our program this year to make it more interesting. And now now I don't have it memorized anymore. Oh yes, definitely. We're going to have alumni speakers throughout the program, and the first one I'm very proud to introduce to you is a gentleman named Jose Villalobos, who is at Tucson Medical Center, and I'm not going to tell you anything more because I want you to hear his story from him. Okay.
Good evening. I feel honored because I've heard everyone say they got about 3 minutes. She gave me 8 minutes, so that's a plus. About 125 pounds ago, which if you do them out is equivalent about 14 years, I'd say, I was standing up here and I told her this is the first and last time that I'll be doing this. And then the following year I said the same thing, and I just gave up on saying this is the last time I'll do it because I tend to come back every time she calls me. I'm going to try to share my story. I have about 8 minutes. I'm going to try to share 20-some years. I came to this country back in 1989. I was 9 years old. My parents immigrated here from Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua. I remember coming to Tucson, and when we arrived here, we had a blanket. That's what we came to this country with. We struggled a lot. I was a decent student, I think, up till 7th grade. When I hit 8th grade, I started getting involved in drugs, hanging out with kids that weren't role models that I should be hanging out with. And that's when I started kind of going downhill, my 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade year. When I was in Catalina, I was put in this program called the Dropout Prevention Program. But that wasn't working for me. That might work for other kids, but for me, that didn't do much because I went into a class, I sat down, no one bothered me. As long as I let other kids do their work, then you can do nothing. Just sit there and do nothing. But apparently someone saw something in me that I didn't see in me. Someone gave me an opportunity. Someone introduced me to Miss Gold. I've always known her as Miss Christensen. It's hard for me to say Miss Gold now, but someone introduced me to her and told me you should take her class. I was very hesitant because I went to school to socialize, play soccer, and that was it. Besides that, I didn't care about school. I took her class just because I was getting bored of being in the same class for 4 hours a day. So I took her class. She sat me really close to her because she wanted to keep an eye on me. So I took her class, and when I started her class, I was, I believe, at a 4th or 5th grade reading level, and I was one of the people that used those discs. And yeah, it was called PALS back then. And within a couple of months, I started liking it because I saw something different. I started seeing different people. The people that I used to hang out with, I stopped not completely hanging out with them, but just I started hanging out with a new kind of friends, new people, playing soccer, but going to class and taking interest into reading. And I saw that there were people that cared about me. There were people that were interested in helping me. And the volunteers, Miss Gold, and Mary Hansen was the teacher that referred me to her class. So by 11th grade, I was still in her class. I was, I believe, at an 8th grade reading level. I was improving. I was still giving her a hard time. It was in my junior year when she asked me to get a mentor. And I didn't want a mentor. And she's like, please, you got to try it. It's going to benefit you. And I was, no, I don't need a mentor. I don't need a mentor. I know what I'm doing. No one needs to tell me what to do. And I said, you know what, I'll try it. And she gave me someone from the U of A. I remember it was a Hispanic name. That's what I recall. And I said, okay, I'll give it a try. The following week, she came back and said, you know what, he can't do it, but I pair you up with someone else. His name's Phil Wagman. And the first thing I said, that's a white person. And she said, yes, it is. I'm like, I don't want him. And I wasn't racist back then or discriminating against anyone. I just felt out of place. I felt out of my comfort zone. I wasn't used to that. And she insisted so much, please just try for a week, try for a week. And Phil became part of the mentoring program through Kathy Travers. She was mentoring my sister. And I said, okay, I'll try it. So I met Phil. I started going to TMC after school just to see what he did. He worked with computers. And I started taking more interest in the computers and what Phil did. He took the time to just really teach me, because when I went to work, they say, what do you know about computers? I said, nothing. They're like, you have to know something. I'm like, I know nothing. They say, well, you know the A drive and the C drive. Everyone, no, I don't know the A drive and the C drive. So like, okay, well, we know where to start with you. So they took the time to teach me what the A drive was, what the C drive was, and during the summer break, they offered me a job. So I was working at TMC making $4.15 an hour. After I was making $4.15 an hour, I went back to school. I went to our boss back at TMC, Tammy Johnson, and I told her, hey, this is what I've learned during the summer. Is there any way you can give me an after-school job? She said, yeah, sure, why not? I can give you an after-school job. So I got an after-school job. I was now in her class. I had regular classes. I went from having F and Ds to having Bs and Cs. I won't say A's because that'd be a lie. I was never an A student. But I went to regular classes, from the dropout prevention program into regular classes, still at TMC. When in my senior year, they offered me a job after school, a permanent job after school. So I'd go for 3 hours after school, work there, making $4.25 an hour. I graduated from high school. I started going to college, making $4.25 an hour, and then TMC offered me a job. They said, hey, we're gonna pay you $10 an hour. I dropped out. I'm like, why would I ever need to make more than $10 an hour? Who needs more than $10 an hour? So I dropped out. I took the job, and soon after I got married. Then I had 1 kid, 2 kids, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I realized that $10 an hour is not a lot when you have 6 kids. At TMC, the one thing that has helped me, I believe, is my work ethics. I haven't never been the smartest kid, the most skillful employee, but I've been told I have good work ethics. And that's the one thing that I always share with kids. Your work ethics are going to take you further than your skills, because I can teach anyone how to build a computer. I can teach anyone how to rebuild a server, but I cannot teach you to be here on time. I cannot teach you to be here tomorrow if you tell me you're going to be here tomorrow. That's up to you. So that's the one thing that I always tell kids. Your work ethics will take you further than your skills. It will open more doors. At TMC, then when I got the $10 and I thought I didn't need to make more than that, I was a desktop analyst. Then they moved me to a senior desktop analyst. Now I'm a senior systems engineer. And 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I decided to go back to college. After 13 years, I'm now back in school. Because I tell my kids, you need to go to college, you need to go to university. And they say, why didn't you go, Dad? I'm like, well, I'm going now. So I'm now back in school. But all of this would not have been possible without Kathy Travers, Phil Wagman, Ms. Gold, and a handful of other people that saw something in me that I wasn't seeing in me. And I want to thank everyone for that. I want to thank the people that have made this program possible. I want to thank the volunteers that make this possible. They dedicated their time to students. And again, most of all, to the parents for supporting their kids. And the kids, they've heard me say this too many times. Thank your parents for everything you have. Your parents will not buy a pair of shoes. Your parents will not buy a pair of jeans so you can wear new shoes, so you can wear jeans, so you can go to school, so you can have what they didn't have. So thank your parents, and parents, thank you for providing for your kids, for supporting your kids, and thank everyone for making this possible for me, because without this program, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So thank you.
This is like a teacher's dream, watching these people come up and tell these stories, because I remember when he was sitting in the chair giving me a hard time. Oh, let's say, I have something for you, I forgot. I have a picture of you standing in line in the same Celebrate Literacy evening, coming up to get your certificate, I think it's you. I think that's you, if it's not you.
Oh, wow,
Tell anybody. That's okay. I have one for Monica, too, of the prom. I'll come later. Okay, we switched something on our program this year. We usually honor our volunteers toward the end of the program, and then we said, our volunteers are so incredible. They're really extraordinary, and they should be honored in the beginning of the program so they can just sit there and gloat and feel really good the whole rest of the time. So could our classroom volunteers come up, please? And I also would like Mrs. Fout to come up. She's our tutor. And you want yours too, right? And Miss Casper's volunteers as well.
I think so. Can we all fit? All right. Hi, everybody. So in my classroom, we are very, very lucky to have an incredible contingent of volunteers. And these people are out and about and very, very busy people. In fact, the 2 volunteers who are here this evening from my class volunteer at a number of other places in the city as well. And it's with great, great pleasure that I recognize Sam and Gretchen Everett this evening. Yes. They've been volunteering with us for many years, and they come in every week and do absolutely anything that's needed and will work with any kid on any assignment with the most incredible patience and kindness, and I'm very, very thankful to have their support.
Okay. I've got a wealth of volunteers this year. I must have been a good girl or something because the universe was great to us. I would like to recognize on this end Diego Navarrete, who was a very welcome. Diego volunteers all over. Diego was a college professor. Diego was president of Pima Community College. And Diego comes twice a week as long as I give him dark chocolate. and I want to thank his wife, too, for letting us borrow him for that many hours. Thanks, Atlanta. And our next volunteer here is Jim Harvey, and he's new this year. He's from near Seattle, right? Washington. And he was CEO of 3 big companies. So we've really got a connection between the classroom workplace and the real workplace. And we've already learned all about body language and how it changes the culture in the office and how it can influence a job interview, and kids do mock job interviews. And he's just amazing and very versatile. So we're really happy to recognize him. And we even have a judge, John Davis. John was in juvenile court, and then he was in superior court, and I had jury duty with him. And then he works for me now. But anyway, he comes in on Mondays, and it's hilarious. I thought the students were going to see a judge, and they were going to be terrified. And they say to me, "Miss, when's the judge coming in?" And I say, "Monday." "Why?" "I need to talk to him." And, "Why, are you in trouble?" And they'll say, "Kind of." But he's wonderful with the kids, and it's just terrific having this mixture of different careers, and so we really appreciate it. And Wallace was a first grade teacher, right? And it took her a while to warm up to the high school students. And then Diego said, "Come here, Wallace, let me show you how it's done." So she's terrific with them now. But before that, well, if you want something, Wallace knows everybody in Tucson. And that's how we got Diego, and that's how we got Judge not this judge, but Judge Frank Zapata, who's in the United States District Court, but he's out of town today. But anyway, Wallace is our PR person, as well as our volunteer.
And will you tell them that I graduated?
Oh, yeah, you tell them.
I graduated from Catalina in 1960.
And Barb Leonard has been with us for it's like 15 or 16 years. She was at Tucson Medical Center with Kathy Travers, and the two of them mentored about 15 girls for us. One of them is now a nurse with a bachelor's degree working at the Cancer Center, and she's also fabulous with helping with things like this. Whenever we're doing big, huge events, Barbara's the one that helps put everything in place and does all of the printouts from Excel, which I'm really bad with. So she's my savior. So. We've been blessed by a tutor this year from some federal money or something, but at any rate, this lady here is a dynamite person, and she goes around the room and gets every kid working and doing better, and really has made a major difference in their performance academically. So we want to recognize you with this. And I just have one more. Ross, can you come up, please? Ross is actually a mentor, but I'm going to recognize him now. Can you believe the caliber of people that we have volunteering? Ross has been with us a long time too, and he's mentored many young men for us, and he's doing so now. But he's also the kind of person that will say, well, what do you need? And I'll say, I need like 15 more businesses for the job interviews, and he'll go all over and get them. And so another dynamite and really terrific person, and we appreciate you so much. Are you ready for another good story? Yes. A true story. Okay, this one is going to come from our own Tucson Unified School District. Come up, Mr. Shannon Roberts. You want to come up, please?
You know, there's really a box back here if you really don't believe it. Every year I almost get tripped on it. You know, first off, I'd like to say, wow, it's really it's exciting for me to be here. I feel honored to see so many familiar faces. And what that means to me before I get started is two things are happening. The first being that you've each taken the opportunity to invest in your career because you're here yet again for 2 years in a row. The other one, well, you know, I think that means Miss Gould is probably twisting my arm to do a little bit more. She's small but mighty. You know, I'm going to talk to you guys briefly about my experience. For those of you that have been here for the previous years, you will know that I was also a member of the PALS Lab back in 1992 and 93. I wasn't always the ideal student or the role model student. I too, like Jose, was sitting next to Miss Gould, and that was because I chose to roam the halls, and you know, I thought it was cool to, we had these things back in the day, they were called Terminators. I don't know if you remember, you push a button and they go, ooh, you know. To me, that was fun, you know, and I just knew that it was going to get into Miss Gould's skin. So I was the student that sat in the back at first, and I was involuntarily relocated to the front of the classroom right by Miss Gould. And I tell everybody about these stories that, you know, when you weren't going to be in class, you had to call in. It's just like having a job. You had a call-in procedure. I just thought, I am not calling Miss Gould to tell her I'm not going to be at school. Well, well, I'll tell you what. There's a consequence for not calling. So I'll tell you, after, you know, having to do all the makeup assignments, and then I got assigned what they call a 0 hour. And I thought, that means I have to be at school at 6:40 to see Miss Gould to make up these assignments. And then I have to go see her again at third period. So guess what I learned real quickly? The call-in procedure. So, you know, I say all that to say this. You know, as you go through life, there are a lot of different choices we have to make. And investing in your education is probably one of the most important choices you will make. I'll tell you, when I was sitting where you guys were, I didn't know what life was like after high school. I had no idea what I was going to be when I grew up. I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I was living in the moment. I was going to school to have fun, because back then, school was not cool. And what's that old saying, school's for fools? Well, yeah, I believe that. But guess who was the fool? Me. And as I look around now, you know, I realize there are so many things that are different in today's world. School is actually cool. You know, you look at the different clubs you guys have in school, the different extracurricular activities. Other cool things now that weren't cool back then, what we didn't know about was Facebook, Twitter, texting from your smartphone. But the key thing is, in order to do any of those cool things, you have to have what? You have to have the knowledge to understand the implications behind it. You have to have the knowledge to understand how to operate the device, read the instructions. You have to even understand what the impact of some of that is. So what I'll say to you is, and I'm not going to take as long as the 8 minutes, because I have something else I want to share that Ms. Gould has been anxiously trying to pull out of me for the last year, and I wouldn't give in. The thing I'll tell you is, parents, as the late Whitney Houston said, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way, and show them all the beauty they possess inside. Parents, it's our responsibility to make sure that our students feel our support. Students, it's up to you to grasp your education and take it and make it worthwhile for yourself, because at the end of the day, it impacts you. I will always say, one other thing I always tell you all, the more you know, the more you owe. And as Einstein said, for all those who thanks to all those who told me no, it made me do it on my own. So, oh, I'm sorry. And I should have started with this. I am actually the Chief Negotiator and Director of Employee Relations for Tucson Unified School District. What does that mean in English? That means I am charged with negotiating benefits for teachers, all faculty. I'm also in charge with making sure that our teachers meet your contact time. And really, I should thank you all for entrusting me to serve in such a great capacity. It's a very large responsibility, a very delicate position to be in. And I have to tell you, I really appreciate you guys allowing me to serve you in that capacity. So I'll tell you, I sat in front of this very group of individuals, what, 3 years ago almost? Maybe 4, and I made a promise. Judge Davis, where you at? Judge Davis. I made a promise to you, and I told you last year that I'd share that promise, or that surprise. Well, I took a slight deviation. I know that 4 years ago I thought, you know, well, I think I'm going to go to law school. I looked at the LSAT and I thought, oh my goodness, I can't do this. But I took a slight change of course. And I have to tell you, my boss, today I learned that he made the announcement in cabinet. My colleagues came by and really all congratulated me, made me feel well. I'm proud to tell you all that earlier this year, I completed my doctorate in human resource management. Thank you. And I really want to tell you thank you to a number of people. I want to say, Judge Davis, thank you for the challenge and challenged me to move on. Dr. Petticone, thank you for always trusting me and allowing me to do my job and what it is that you entrusted me to do. A few people who aren't here, as Dr. Clary's Clash, there have been times, throughout my course where I felt like, this is it, I don't want to do this anymore. And to have someone that you can share those struggles with and say, what, keep on, keep going. It's not the end of the road. And I don't see Dr. Richardson here either here. Dr. Richardson is another person I'd like to thank who I could call any time of day or night to say, look, I'm struggling, what do I do? But again, thank you very much for allowing me to be here, and I hope to see you here sharing this story in the near future. Thank you.
So I need to call you doctor now. That is terrific. For your website, Arizona Supreme Court. And TUSD. Okay, it is time for Persons of the Year, I think. Yep. So you're going to have two familiar faces and actually 3 familiar faces coming up for the Persons of the Year award. And I would like to ask Jim Harvey and Shannon Roberts and Jose Villalobos to please come up here. I'm going to start with Shannon because now that you're a doctor, you're also going to be a Person of the Year, and you got a plaque to hang in your office. So I was going to give you this big speech about him, but he's already told you most of the things. But Shannon has been, since he was at Tucson Medical Center before he was at TUSD, and he came and participated in our annual mock job interviews for several years. And then when he got to TUSD, he's been participating in those. And also he's spoken at Celebrate Literacy Night a few times. And this is rare. We've only given an alumni or alumnus of the Learn Center a Person of the Year plaque twice. And one of them was working at the Kennedy Space Center. And the other one, I don't know where she is now, it was years ago, but she went to a lot of conferences with us and spoke. So this is the 3rd time in 25 years that an alumnus of the Learn Center has gotten a Person of the Year award. And this is the highest award that we give, so I'm really proud to give this to Shannon Roberts. Now, Jose said that I made him stand up here and speak, but that was true when he was in high school because we had mentor-mentee speeches at conferences. But this time, about 3 years ago, I got a message on LinkedIn that he had been promoted to something, and a certain, I think he was systems engineer. Okay. Anyways, so I wrote him congratulations, and he sent me this beautiful letter because I have not heard from him all those years, and he talked about how he had gotten this promotion. Now he's a senior systems engineer, and he wanted to come and talk to my classes because it was largely due to the Learn program that he reached that milestone. And since that happened, he has been coming for, this is going to be your 3rd or 4th year, I think. And he comes and talks to every single class, and they really relate to him. So it's a wonderful thing to have somebody who was in their seats now and coming back and sharing the way to success with them. So, Jose Villalobos, I'm really proud to give you this. And speaking of first, Jim Harvey is so wonderful and has done so many things for us in, I think it's about 9 months that you've been here, right? And so because of all the things I mentioned earlier, that he's performed mock job interviews, he's trained the kids to do job interviews, he taught us all about body language and all sorts of procedures in the workplace, which is perfect for us because our class is called English for the 21st Century Workplace. And so I'm really happy to present this to you. And actually, if you have this, it means that you have to come back. Well, you can go back to Seattle, but you have to come back to Tucson after.
Hold this to half a minute. I have Marge to thank for this, but I have a whole bunch of you guys and gals out there in the audience that you're my teachers, really. I have learned so much, and thank you.
And just real quick, want to thank everyone because I'm getting this award, but once again, I'm being awarded, but without your support, I wouldn't be receiving this award today, so thank all of you.
Again, I can say thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't feel as I'm the person of the year. I think you guys are the persons of the year. And if there's anything that I can do, please, please call upon me. If you need to get me, Ms. Gold knows how to get me. As I told you, I think she's twisting my arm a little more each year to do more. So, good luck.
I'm interrupting our regularly scheduled programming for a surprise. So it's the 25th year of the Learn Center, and that fact is due entirely to the power of this woman, which you guys know. So I have a special honor for Ms. Marge Gould this evening as our person of 25 years. And this is a flame. At the top it says, "A mighty flame followeth a tiny spark." A quote from Dante. And those of you who know Marge Gould know that she is small but incredibly powerful. And all it takes is this and everything is alight. Congratulations, Marge, on 25 years of leadership, inspiration, and success.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you. That was a surprise. This is 25 years of a labor of joy. And no, I'm not going to go to political office after this, as somebody suggested, but I'm going to campaign for Rex because he's going to do it. Well, thank you so much. Wow, I'm really touched. And I think, yeah, it's time for another great story. And we're going to have a woman this time, Monica Munhe. Okay, Monica graduated in 1993.
Yeah, I'll use it. I'm going to use her step stool. Wow, this is incredible. There's a lot of people here. At first I was a little nervous, but then I was pretty anxious to come up here and share my story. But you know what? I really have to give it for Marge for putting this all together, so I think she earns another round of applause for this. Well, like Marge said, my name is Monica Monge, and I graduated from Catalina High School in '93. And I was her student for, I believe, all 4 years of my high school education. And I was pretty nervous and scared being in her class because I was one of the shy ones and wasn't popular in school, or didn't stand out as much, but I kept to myself, and basically she helped me out with that. She gave me a lot of skills and taught me many good things, and especially social skills. Like I said, I was very, very shy. One thing that really impacted me about Marge was that she would always encourage me to do the best that I can and to never ever give up on anything that I wanted to do. And she always told me that you can do whatever you want as long as you put your mind to it and you work very, very hard at it. And when I first got to her class and going through all the lessons that she taught me and taking advantage of all the resources and the guidance that she gave me, and then being involved with the mentors that were also involved in the program, I really didn't know what I wanted to do in high school. And eventually I graduated, pursued my education in college, and still didn't know what I wanted to do. But I met someone later on in life who believed in me enough that knew that I had a set skill inside me that I didn't even realize that I had. And one of those skills was that I enjoyed helping people. And she got me involved in pharmacy. So for more than 15 years, I was involved in pharmacy. And I realized that I had a desire and a passion to want to make a difference in people's lives. So within the 15 years that I was in pharmacy, it felt so good to know that at the end of the day, when I left home from work, I always made a difference in someone's life, because I made sure that I studied really hard in understanding the mechanisms of medications and how it works in a body. And I guess what I want to say is that I never ever gave up working hard or wanting to expand my mind. I did have to step out of my comfort zone for many years because, again, I was, like I said, I was very shy and very quiet, but the desire and the motivation that a lot of people that came into my life really influenced me. And see, there's one thing that a lot of us don't seem to understand, is that there are many individuals that come in and out of our lives that really impact us in a very positive, effective way. And sometimes we tend to forget to thank them, even when we don't realize that that is what they're doing to us. So I just want to say I'm very grateful to have you a part of my life, for everything that you've done. And I know that there was many years that we lost touch, but I never ever forgot Marge, because she was a really good person and had a dramatic impact in my life. So for the students that are out there, please don't ever forget the individuals that come in and out of your life that make a great impact. Don't ever stop thanking them, and always tell them how grateful you are to have them a part of your life, because up and downs, they will always be there for you, always. See, I've never had a perfect life. I grew up with not having the role model outside of school. And I was always excited to go to school and see Marge every morning. because I knew that if there was something going on at home or if I was having troubles, she was always the one that was there for me to hear me out. In the last 2 years, I have experienced, well, I'm sure all of us have experience with the crisis of the economy and being laid off and being in between jobs and so forth. But I never lost hope or never lost confidence in myself, because I figured that there was no such thing as a hopeless situation or a solution. And there is many, many bridges that all of us will have to come across to have to, walk through them. And once we cross those bridges, we end up learning a whole lot more just from those experiences. So I always tell, I have 2 boys of my own, and I've always been a single mom. And I've always made sure that I taught my kids how to have respect for themselves, but not only for their elders. I've always told them that you never want anybody else to control your emotions. And by telling them that is, don't let other people's words affect who you are. You are who your thoughts and your feelings are. So always make sure that your thoughts are clean and your feelings are clean, but always make sure that your thoughts and your feelings match. I also tell them that experience equals success. So going through the many experiences is a good thing. But be consistent with yourself and have never-ending improvements. I tell them, what you do well, always realize that you can even do it better, and there's always room for improvement. So I'm telling all the students and students in the past and that it's what you start in life is where you end up, but when you get there is what makes the most impact. So I have this quote that I love to share, and it goes like this: the time is now, the place is here, and the people are you. There is a person to prepare, and there is a passion to pursue. So don't ever forget that, and always make sure that it's okay to step out of your comfort zone. Don't ever give up, and I know I won't give up, because I'm happy inside and I'm happy outside, and that's all that really matters. So but remember, tough times don't last, but tough people do. So and your life is what your thoughts make it. So always keep clean and positive thoughts. And remember that the only negative thing you have to overcome is yourself. So be positive and stay clean and clear.
Wow. That was pretty powerful. ROTC, it's not right now, it's when the scholarships are being given, but right now we're going to do certificates, so relax. Okay, this is going to take a little bit of logistics, so at this point I would like to have Dave Byers and Judge Sean Lopez over here. Now, my students, listen up. And Mr. Scott, over at the microphone, please. And when I give you when I give you the word, you're all going to go down to the back there and go across and come up so that you're over by where Mr. Scott is at the microphone. And you all need to have something in your hand. What is it? the little paper with your name, right. And he'll read your name into the microphone. Oh, and can I have Mr. Hannah up here, please, too? Oh, good, okay, okay. Yeah. And so they're going to get a certificate, and some of them have earned flash drives or jump drives, whatever you want to call them, from the challenge which we have. And challenge is challenging them to have no unexcused absences, always stretch yourselves, always push to go hard, to go higher each day, and everything that you do, not only in our class, but in the other ones. And so what we did to make this faster is we put little stickers on the folders that deserve flash drives. And when we get one, we're going to go flash drive. And they'll get the flash drive and the sticker. Okay, before they line up, though, why don't you guys line up? Now listen, remember what I told you. Once you get in line, do not move from that spot because everyone behind you will get the wrong certificate. Okay? So make sure, if my students can line up now, but if you can do that quietly, that would be great. Because I would like the rest of you to look at the back of your program for a second, because I want to give some plugs to the people that support this program, especially to the people that sponsored this evening, which are Mike Halley and Halley Healthcare Informatics, Steve Santa Cruz, Catalina High Foundation, who are sitting in this row over here, National Right Realty over here, and the Tucson Federal Credit Union, Micro Age Computers, which are owned by Jeff McKeever, who was one of the alumni of the year of the Catalina Foundation, the Doubletree Hotel, and Bruce and Gail Grosetta. And at the top, those are all the other organizations that participate. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's okay. Gabriel Gracia. Yeah. Seneca Guillen. Alfredo Madorio. Mario Gracia. Diego Garcia. No. Arnaldo Delgado. I got it. Silviano Velasquez. Adriana Lam. Juan Gonzalez. Francisco Denise. Sumitra Timsina. Leanis Tenorio. Krishna Subedi. Kamal Suncheri. Joseph Leonidas. Chitan Katil. Kajendra Subedi. Peter Kafley. Brianna Lalimo. Budi Bastola. Bawana Chetri. BC Leonard. Marianne Sebtow. Joanna Kaita. Ayam Amor. Murray Nyembo. Carly Ariston. Colin Fayunt. Nadine Flores. Angela Valdez. Esmeralda Rodriguez. Gracia Frisbee. Kimberly Rivera. Godlord Adem. Godlove Adem, sorry. Katia Ledesma. Johanna Nunez. Rumor Jensen. Jerry Jones's favorite student, Antonio Moreno. Joshua Ellis. Tagreed Ajel. Philemon Kase. And Annabella Mendoza.
Congratulations, Miss Gould students. Woo! All right. Now, if all of my students could do the same thing and make a beautiful line, including students who might have just walked up here because you are taking both English classes, Miss Gould and Miss Casper. So if my students could please line up quickly.
I want to tell you while these students are lining up that I am taking the place of one of our assistant principals, Mr. Madrid. And Mr. Madrid is ill, and he was told by no less a personage than my wife that he needed to stay home and heal up. He was smart to listen. Thank you. Abdi Zahal Mohammed. Zuberi Idi. Got it. Ibrahim Shnati. Zechariah Mohammed. Sarah Shnati. Dulce Diaz. Krishna Katel. Good. Zaroon Nasir. Kajendra Subedi. Devota Tahuga. Muzake Emanuelina. Malidi Mai. Brianna Lalimo. Zelka Klipik. I can. Sega Gebretsta Dikan. I owe you lunch. Frawini Gadam. Abiba Gazay. Dil Gali. Hamed Gel. Kalpana Basnet. Hira Centuri. Reka Mongar. Oma Biswa. Got it. Churesma Biswa. Madiel Tenorio Lopez. Leith Dakil. Thank you. Abdel Rizak Ajel. Omar Azat. Davud Cheyenne. Muhindo Buhendwa. Rabin Gurung. Etsewote Hunagna. Gorgeous. Say the last one. Bambi Jibu. Budi Bastola. Bawana Chetri. Siraj Subedi. Chandra Tapa. And Kadar Magar.
Nice job, Mr. Scott, and nice job, students. And thank you to Judge John Lopez and to Dave Byers. Okay, it's going to get better and better now. You see what's still sitting up here? All right, I want a straight answer now. I want you to think. How many of you students think that one of these 5 laptops may have your name on it? Wow. All right. Well, we only have 5, and that was about 50 of you, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, now it's time for the scholarships, and then we'll move into the challenge. Well, actually, before the challenge, we have one more alumni speaker. So I would like to introduce somebody who's really, really special at Catalina, has been sending many, many more students to college since he's been there than I've ever seen, and I've been there 26 years. And I think that how much money did we spend in college? Getting scholarships last year? $6 million in scholarships last year. So give a big hand for Mr. Mark Hanna.
All right, thank you, thank you. All right, so I say it over and over again, I love my job. I know that I'm helping students go on to a better life. And so tonight, we're gonna help you go on to a better life with some really awesome scholarships. So I'd like to introduce Ms. Cheryl House from the Pima Community College Foundation. And we have some scholarships for you.
Well, congratulations, students. Congratulations, parents. I'm with the Pima Community College Foundation, and we are so excited to see you come through our doors in the fall. And I'm thrilled to be here tonight to award some scholarships. So congratulations to all of you.
Are we going to do the sword thing? Are they going to come through the swords for this? Or? All right. Let's do our Tower of Swords, or whatever that thing's called. Okay, as I call your name, walk under the swords. Don't get hurt as you do that. All right? These are $300 scholarships for Pima Community College. And our first awardee is Adriana Lamb. Come on up here. All right, next is Arnaldo Delgado. $300. All right, next is Peter Kafle. Diego Garcia. BC Leonard. Esmeralda Rodriguez. And Fatima Adam. Okay, congratulations to all of you folks. All right, next, we have a very special set of scholarships. These are $500 each. They are known as the Herman Gould Memorial Scholarships. Some of you knew Dr. Gould. Dr. Gould was a great, great person who helped out every single day in Miss Gould's class, was just a wonderful, wonderful man. And Mrs. Gould started a scholarship named after him, the Herman Gould Memorial Scholarship. We have 3 winners of that scholarship. The first one is Angela Valdez. You skipped one of the swords there, Angela. All right, Juan Gonzalez. These are $500 scholarships. And Krishna Subedi. Congratulations. All right, how about one more round of applause for all these scholarship winners?
All right. Okay, that's going to be our last scholarship, so you can rest your arms. But don't go away, because we're going to have the challenge awards in a little while. Oh, you can go in the back and okay. Oh. At ease, you guys. All right, how about a hand for the ROTC? Don't go very far, though, because we're going to need you in a few minutes. Okay. We have one more alumni speaker. I think this one's going to be really interesting, and I'm going to ask everybody to stick to the time limit that I gave you because we're getting close, but I think we could still make 9 o'clock. And so this one is Daniel Camacho.
Thank you very much. I'm going to try to stick to my prepared speech since it is time. Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daniel Camacho. I'm here to share my father's legacy, a legacy similar to Miss Marge Christensen's gold legacy. The legacy is to keep school #1. I remember as a child daydreaming on becoming an architect, mainly because I enjoyed drawing and playing with Legos, and wished to live a successful life when I grew up, just like my father. As a result, I took drafting classes in my freshman and sophomore year in high school and loved it. My plans were to take advanced drafting classes in my junior and senior year and major in architecture in college. Unfortunately, at the end of my sophomore year, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And at the beginning of my senior year, sadly, my father died of cancer. Fortunately, my father left me the legacy to keep school priority #1. That legacy helped me to stay strong enough in my senior year and thus be able to earn my high school diploma in 1995, a long time ago. In addition, slowly but surely, after I defeated my worries, my doubts, my fears, my worry of how I'm going to pay for college, my worry of how, my worry if I was smart enough, and my fear of public speaking. In 2001, I was able to defeat all of those things and got myself into college at Pima Community College. I knew that I had to start at Pima because it had been 6 years since I had no schooling at all, so I started from the bottom. 6 years later, in 2007, I was able to finish my college with a bachelor's degree in science, in molecular and cellular biology, with a minor in chemistry. I became a direct contributor to the war on cancer. My father's legacy have taken me far in life, in my personal / professional life, and vice versa. Why? Because everything I do professionally is for a personal reason. And everything I do personally, it is done better because of the skills acquired in my profession. For example, right after I graduated from college, I earned a 1-year post-baccalaureate cancer research training award at the National Institutes of Health, National Cancer Institute. There, I directly contributed in the making of a mouse model of carcinogenesis and metastasis. It was a lot of work. On my free time, I visited Washington, D.C.'s attractions, museums, such as the White House, the Capitol, Lincoln Memorial, and I was able to observe the 4th of July fireworks at the Washington Memorial, just to mention a few. To top it off, I traveled to New York City with a couple of friends. I loved it. I want to go back one of these days with my wife, Blanca, right there, and my kids. While in New York City, I visited Times Square, of course, the Empire State Building, and the Statue of Liberty. I will confess that there are lots of fun activities in Washington, D.C. and New York City. So, keeping the legacy of my father has given me a lot, more than I imagined. Presently, I happily continue to contribute to the war on cancer as a research technician at the U of A Cancer Center at the lab of Dr. Alison Stopek. Here, I directly contribute by processing clinical samples day in, day out from breast cancer patients with the goal to improve diagnosis and prognosis. And last but not least, my grand work of art. After marrying my wife, my beautiful wife, Blanca, I had to use my research skills and the knowledge I acquired. I am so grateful of that. I had to do some research on attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and Ritalin. Ritalin was causing awful effects on my new child. It was horrendous. He was a zombie, loss of sleep, loss of hunger, hallucinations, tics. After taking Ritalin for a few months, then he was diagnosed bipolar disorder. So one time I was eating, and we were about to eat, he took his pills, and by the time that I was cutting my meat and getting my first few bites of food, I looked up and saw my son, a zombie. Definitely he was drugged. He wasn't cool. So I thought to myself, okay, Daniel, have to do something. Can't see this. That's the no. What is the doctor doing? Why don't the doctor say, okay, you know what, let's take him out of Ritalin. Let's take him out. So, but they were not listening. The teachers were pressuring my wife into giving the child Ritalin because they couldn't control the hyperactivity. So I did my research, read books and articles, scientific articles, pro and against Ritalin. I ran into a book by Howard Glasser, 101 Ways to Avoid Ritalin Like a Plague, and one reason why it is almost always unnecessary. The one reason why it is almost always unnecessary, it is that there is a behavioral approach that is effective. Now, my child, he is a normal child. He gets good grades. He controls his energy to the max. Now he gets A's and B's. To finish, in my spare time, I volunteer as a mentor for incoming freshmen who come from low-income families, underrepresented minority students, first-generation students, and who are major in a biology-related field through the Arizona Assurance Mentor Program at the U of A. In conclusion, I can say I live a happy and successful life. I am happy being a cancer researcher, a mentor, a husband, and a father. Finally, I hope that everyone here, every one of your students, go to college and go to the U of A. It will pay off. It's very expensive, but it will pay off at the end. Have to be patient. And if one of you need a mentor, I'm going to give my contact information to March Christensen, and I'll see what I can do. Thank you very much, and I finish my remarks.
Well, all I can say to you students is you have some big shoes to fill to follow in these guys' footsteps, but you can do it. So now, how many of you still think that one of these laptops has your name on it? Ms. Morlock thinks, maybe our names are on it. I don't think so. Mr. Berman, could you come up here, please? And Awa Chibasta, are you here? Yeah, we're gonna just pause for a second, but you can sit there, yeah.
It's only to build the suspense, you know? We've heard some amazing stories tonight, and students, I hope you've been listening, because these are 4 very successful people who've come through this program and are doing beautiful things with their lives, and I want to thank each of you for your stories tonight. I also want to thank all of the students who are currently in high school who are sharing their stories with the community to build a stronger community. And we'd like to take just a moment to present some of our new books, the Finding My Voice 2012 book, to some of our supporters who are here this evening. And so if I could have Zelka and Joseph and Kangendra come up front to pass these out. And I'd like to invite everyone to another event next Thursday at 6 o'clock at Catalina, where you can hear current students reading some of their life stories and some of their poetry. So thank you. Okay, with no further ado, because I know you guys are now like, what's happening? Here we go.
Well, the challenge started about 10 years ago, I guess. And it was started by John Bermond and Steve Santa Cruz, who is not able to be here this evening. And so in order to earn a laptop, you have to be a senior and you have to be going to college, because we didn't want to buy laptops for people to sit at home and play video games on. So, so we have a tradition that the person who earned the laptop last year comes back the next year and calls the names of the people that are going to get it this year. And you want me to let you say a few words?
Yeah, I would. I'll be very brief. Just to comment, I'm tremendously honored to be here this evening on the 25th anniversary of this wonderful program. As has been said often this evening, Marge Gould is the driving force behind it, is now, always has been, and I'd just like to have one more round of applause for Marge. But there is one other person who I think is absent this evening, but has been a tremendous driving force in this program, and that is Steve Santa Cruz. Steve has been extraordinarily generous through the years, providing scholarships, computers, flash drives. He and I, years ago, decided that perhaps some of the students needed some additional incentive to really take the challenge seriously. And so we decided that we would provide flash drives and computers as awards to those who really exemplified all the characteristics of what the Learn program is about. And I'm very, very pleased to be here this evening to be a part of this, and without further ado, let's get to the awards. Is there any particular order to the computers?
No, but this is Awa Chibasa, and she was one of the two people that earned a laptop last year. The other one is in college at Glendale Community College, and it's too close to their exams, so she asked me to excuse her from being here this evening, and I said, absolutely, because your studies come first. But Awa's going to just tell you quickly how the laptop has made a difference for her, and then we won't hold you in suspense anymore. She's going to read the names.
Thank you, Ms. March. Good evening, everyone. My name is Awa, and I was one of the recipients for the laptop last year. And this laptop really helped me a lot, because you have a lot of writing to do in college. You really have to carry it wherever you are. And having one of these laptops really helped you. So congratulations to the recipients of tonight. So the first recipient is Angela Valdares. And the second recipient is Francisco Danes. The third recipient is Adriana Lambe. And the fourth recipient is Joan Gonzalez. And last but not least is Sumistra Tismina.
Okay, as Mr. Santa Cruz says, to the rest of you, it's time to get started on working towards next year's laptops. Is that, we wait for the ROTC? No. Oh.
Yes, you can go sit down. All right, congratulations to everyone. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, one more, before we go out there for the cookies and the mariachi, one more word of praise for the woman to my left here, Miss Marge Gould, the person who's touched more lives and changed more young people's lives in this room. Miss Marge Gould, stand up.
Thank you. I'm speechless, and that doesn't happen very often. I'm sure you can see. This is really wonderful, and it's great because it's fun. That's why I'm not retiring until you do. So I want to congratulate all of you, because the reason I'm getting all of this congratulations is because the students that were here before you have been so successful, and I'm expecting you to go out and do the same thing that they've done. You know how to stretch yourselves, and you know how to not give up, and to keep always doing your best in every class, not just ours. And so keep it up, and we'll have more stories to tell. Now we're going to go out the door. Well, the back doors, but it goes wrapped around the building. And we're not just having cookies today, we're having a whole bunch of munchies and good things. People who like sweet things, people who don't. And we have coffee for all of you people who have long drives home, but we also have lemonade. Thank you so much for coming, and have a wonderful weekend. Drive safely. Wow.